Thank you for joining us for this episode of Springdale Today. I'm your host, Mary Jordan. Joining us for this very special Veterans Day episode of Springdale Today are veteran Marine Corps First Lieutenant Dirk Bisby, retired Marine Corps Gunnery Sgt Eric Smith, and Army National Guard First Sgt Paul Hardin. I am also a veteran, having served as a military journalist and separating from the Army as a specialist in 1996. Thank you guys for being here today. I'm so excited for this conversation. We don't have Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, Space Force here, right? But we do have Guard, Active Duty Army, and the Marine Corps represented. So we did a pretty good job of mixing things up. Also, we have senior enlisted, an officer, and lower enlisted. So we got a pretty good mix of ranks, too. So thank you guys for being here and chatting with us today.
Welcome.
You're welcome.
Thank you for inviting us.
Well, I've already touched on the fact that I was a military journalist. What did you guys do as service members?
Most of my time was spent in the field artillery. So I worked my way up through the ranks and did a little bit of fire direction control, was on the pallet in there for a little bit, launchers. In fact, I've been on every single artillery piece that the Army offers. So it's been a nice, fun, rewarding career.
That's really cool. So you got to fire lots of really cool weapons. Yes, we'll have to talk a little bit more about that after. What about you?
I was only in 4 years, and my Marines were mechanics and drivers. Had about 60 Humvees to take care of, and my drivers drove 5-ton trucks.
All right, cool. And what about you? What did you do?
I was in the infantry, so we spent a lot of time waiting on
me,
the driver. I did infantry. I was an anti-armor assaultman when I first joined, and over 20 years promoted to gunnery sergeant and retired as a infantry unit leader.
Wow. Thank you so much for those many years of service. I was in, just 4 years. But it was one of those situations where we were both young soldiers, my husband and I at the time, and childcare was much as I made. So we had to kind of make a decision who was going to be a mom and who was going to be a soldier at that time in our career. But it's been an amazing adventure, and I'm doing today what I did then. Everything I'm doing today is built upon that military journalism experience. And obviously, this is what I do for this Springdale family. Eric, what do you do?
I currently teach agriculture and construction at George Junior High.
All right. And what about you, Dirk?
I am a 7th grade U.S. history and government.
Paul?
I am a CSSO for Hunt Elementary.
That's super cool. So we've got a good mix of jobs, too. What part of your military experience do you guys see that still kind of pops up for you in the workplace, even though you're no longer in the service? Or soon to be no longer in the service? One of you guys is about to retire here on us.
Just get the job done. Just working hard. Just, you don't finish in the military. You don't finish until you're done with the job, and that has served me well, I think. No
matter how long it takes. What about you, Eric?
Again, being flexible and being patient. Nothing ever works the way you really plan it to work. So just being able to adapt to that and meet the goal with the kids.
Right, Paul.
Yeah, mission and people. Can't accomplish the mission by yourself. You need people to help you do it. So those two things.
It's kind of interesting because we would all say the same thing. I would say resiliency. It's all part of our conversation. I think that's, the situation's changing and getting the job done and being flexible enough to get through it and get to the other side. And so it's kind of cool that we've all carried that with us over the years. Did any of you guys happen to have any deployments under your belt from your time in service?
I've been deployed 8 times over the years, most in Southeast Asia, so Pacific Islands, Japan, the Philippines and stuff. Nairobi, Kenya, 2 tours in Iraq and 1 in Afghanistan.
Wow. That's a lot. What about you guys?
I only deployed 1 time for just regular training deployment, Okinawa. Never in a combat zone. So,
Paul?
Man, 8.
Wow.
I thought I was coming in. No, I didn't have 8. He had 8. I thought I was coming in here, guns a-blazing. No, I only did 2. I did Iraq convoy security, and then we did a stint and I was in 3 different countries at the time, Saudi Arabia, or not Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Doha, Qatar, and UAE and Dubai.
It's kind of interesting because you guys are all talking about training in my realm, which was U.S. Army Pacific, which was Alaska, Japan, Korea, Hawaii. So we're all those areas.
I got to go to Thailand once.
Did you get to go to Thailand?
Operation Cobra Gold. But
Yep.
I'm sure you did that a couple times.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting conversation point there when we're talking about deployments and such, because Cobra Gold was something that we did too in Thailand, but I was never able to go because I was a female. So I never deployed in my 4 years, and I never got to go on those missions. However, the Army is a very different place now. And so women do everything that men were able to do. But I didn't mean I wasn't able to stay and hold down the newspaper while people were gone. So my one and only duty station was in Alaska. Where were you guys stationed at throughout your careers?
Camp Pendleton, California.
Big training installation.
Yes.
What about you, Paul?
Yeah. So I'm National Guard. So here, Northwest Arkansas. Now I have hit pretty much every city in Northwest Arkansas: Bentonville, Rogers, Fayetteville. I guess I haven't done Springdale, but I'm currently in Boonville. So that's a lot of fun. But I also made stops in Ozark and Fort Smith.
So you've bounced around the state quite a bit. I imagine, Eric, with your time in service, you probably saw a lot of different duty stations.
Well, the Marine Corps is pretty unique in that, there's really very few places. So I spent about 17 years on Camp Pendleton. I spent a year at March Air Force Base in California, and then I spent about 2 years in North Carolina at Camp Lejeune.
Do you guys have any particular memories that you like to share about your time in service?
Well, okay, I don't want to get morbid or anything. Okay, I was pretty proud one time. My gunnery sergeant, his father-in-law was a veteran, and he died, and they couldn't get a military funeral. They couldn't get anyone to come out, like a detail to come out and fold the flag and do all that stuff. So we got guys from the motor pool, and we went. He asked me to be part of that, and that was pretty special.
That is special.
They folded the flag, and I took it and gave it to his wife, and I was pretty honored that he asked me to be a part of that.
We recently buried my father at a military funeral, and I will always remember the person that handed me that flag for the rest of my life. So you are part of a very important moment in that family's history. Thank you for being there for them.
I'm going to lead off real quick because I think he's getting ready to retire. My retirement ceremony, by far, just being able to look back at kind of how I grew and acknowledge my family. My wife and the stuff was there, everything except for about the first year and a half. So she spent, 19 years with that. So that was kind of my proudest moment.
Wow.
Yeah. Finding out the news that I had gotten First Sergeant was pretty cool. It's when you go through basic and AIT and you meet the first sergeant is just this old gray weathered man that, looks pretty awesome, and you're like, man, I'd love to be that one day. He looks so cool, whatever, right? And
they're probably only about 38.
Yeah, right. Yes. And yeah, here I am 20 years later. I got First Sergeant, and it was pretty emotional because it's not a lot reach First Sergeant, not a lot reach it in 17 years. So it was really cool to do that.
Can you explain a little bit more about First Sergeant? It's a rank and a position of responsibility. Can you tell us a little bit about that for our listeners?
So First Sergeant is part of the command team. He is the senior enlisted advisor to the commander of the unit. So me and the commander run the unit. His name's on all the paperwork, and I run the unit, if we're being honest. And a lot of pre-planning, a lot of, hey, guys, this is what we got going. And then I do a lot of checking in on them to make sure that we're accomplishing those tasks throughout the drill. But me and the commander are over. Our unit has 121 enlisted MTO slots, so that's how many soldiers we can have in the unit, and then like an additional 5 officers, but I'm not over them. I'm just worried about my 121 guys, and that's kind of it.
Let's speak the truth. If a first sergeant speaks, that command's still going to listen.
Oh, 100%.
Regardless of their rank. But for me, I think my most special moment was when I was in Sitka. There's 2 military cemeteries in Alaska, one at Fort Richardson and one in Sitka. And there were remains there that had been abandoned and were never buried. And they can't just bury remains. There's a ceremony to it. And they have the same rights and privileges as anybody else. So me and these soldiers hustled, and we got everything together. There were period costumes the women would wear as part of the festivities. We got those. So we had the white gloves to handle the flag and everything, and we just kind of pulled everything out of our ears, and were able to honor these 3 service members whose remains had been left there. And so that was a really big, important moment for me. I think for our entire command, everybody who had a uniform and sick and could be there that day were there honoring them. It meant a lot to be a part of that moment.
That's cool.
What do you guys find, though, is the biggest difference for you from the military and civilian life?
Friendships. I mean, you're never going to find friends like you have in the service. And that was kind of like my biggest take out of all of it.
I was going to say priorities. And my wife will tell you I had a bit of a hard time adjusting this. When you're in the military, the mission is your first priority, family is second, and civilian life, you better not try to live that way. It won't work out so well.
Those are 2 really good ones. I was thinking, Army's black and white. We have regulations for everything, and if you're a rule follower, like the Army is a place for you, right? Or the military is a place for you. The world, everything is gray. Everything can be debated. Everything can be talked about and discussed. Everything, and there's a lot of slow down. And I'm like, no, let's just go do it. Like, I don't understand what the big deal is.
Make a decision and go.
Yeah, like come on, like it's not that hard. Let's just do it.
Mine is probably a little bit more simple in that I really appreciated not having to figure out what I was going to wear to work every day.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait to get out of the uniform, but now it's like, doggone it, man, if I could just wear a uniform and not have to think about it, I would have been perfectly happy. So the military, it values discipline, teamwork, integrity. You guys are now in the school district. How do you see those things kind of living out in your environment as an employee with Springdale Schools?
I have a great collaborative team, our social studies department. There's 3 of us. We get along great, and we actually do produce a better product collaboratively than I would make on my own. And 20 years ago, I would not have been able to say that. I'm not nearly as cocky now as I used to be, I'd say.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. As a CSSO, I go everywhere throughout the school, make myself available to anybody. But really, I work more with the office staff than anybody else because it's the communication hub, right? That's where everything's flowing into, or should be. And I work with them, and being able to work with them in a way that's positive. And our nurse says all the time, "You're like the little brother I never had." She'd been doing this for like 20-something years or whatever. And it's cool to just jump in and be that little pesky brother with the office staff. But at the same time, they're also thankful that I'm there and able to help out whenever.
I'm going to piggyback with the CTM stuff, the collaborative team. As an elective teacher, we get kind of left out a lot. But at George, we work together and we really focus on what can we really do to help the students in their core classes. So we collaborate with each other and focus on the ways that we can help, not the ways that we're different or anything like that, but what can we do that really backs up what they need to understand or what they need to learn. on their mainly focusing on a lot of reading skills and stuff like that right now.
Yeah, and I think that goes into the next question about how you see the military motto or principle carried out in the workplace too. Because like I have a tendency to think, hua hua, let's go, hua hua, right? But I don't say it out loud to them because they're like, why are you yelling hua, Mary? That, and then U.S. Army Pacific, their motto was one team. Right. And so I have a tendency to think that a lot of times. We're one team. We're here to serve the students. We're here to take care of those kids. We're here to advocate for them. Regardless of our school or branching component for the military, we're all here to take care of those kids and advocate for them. So that, I kind of see that one team thing happening there for me. What about you guys? Do you have any motto or principle that you find that you still call upon, whether you mean to or not?
Not any particular motto, I would say. Just work hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, motto's not really a thing that I think about from my military experience. So making sure you got all your ducks in a row before you start going into something, and you kind of save face a lot of time whenever that work ahead of time has been done correctly.
Yeah, that's good.
Not necessarily the motto or anything, but kind of the saying that I always go back to on myself is there's always room for one more. You can always do one more thing. Or you can get one more pull-up. You can go one more mile. You can get one more student where they need to be. So there's always one more.
One thing about Northwest Arkansas that stands out to me is while we have veterans here, it's not a military community. And I'm used to growing up. I grew up outside of Travis Air Force Base. I lived outside of Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson. So I have a tendency to have spent many, many years in deeply military communities. What is something that you'd really hope people will understand about veterans that maybe they don't see or know every day because they just maybe not have one in their life?
I think we're regular people. We might have had different life experiences, but just like everybody else around Springdale, we all bring different life experiences to the table. But we're still just regular people.
I wasn't sure how I was going to answer that question, but then my wife reminded me of when she and I were dating. Now her father had retired from the Navy, so I don't know how she didn't know this, but if she didn't know it, maybe there's a bunch of other people too. She said, "You're a veteran, but you were never in combat. How are you a veteran?" A veteran's anyone that was ever in the military, and maybe there's people that don't realize that.
I think that's really true. Paul?
Yeah, I didn't know how to answer this either. I think Gunny hit it though. We're normal people. We have some cool experiences to go along with it, and I'm sure some backwoods guy who grew up riding horseback and chopping wood also has some pretty cool experiences, and I really like hanging out with those guys. So maybe you like hanging out with a veteran. I don't know.
We're probably a little crazier though.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Well, when we look at our community too, veterans have a tendency to be humble. We don't necessarily like people going, "Hey, you're awesome." That's not why we enlisted, right? So if you were to tell somebody how they could best support a veteran, how would you encourage them to do so?
Well, if we're talking about the school district, they can give us Veterans Day off paid. That'd be real nice.
That's a good one. I support that wholly as well.
If I'm talking to youth, I would say consider becoming a veteran. That's how you can, pay it forward.
That's really good advice. Eric?
That's another one I'm really not sure how to answer that one. What they can do with us. I love the day of Veterans Day off, and everything. The Marine Corps birthday, November 10th. We could use that one off.
250th coming up.
250th. It's a big one, so it's pretty important to us.
When's the Army birthday, Paul? We need to get that out there too.
Sometime back in the 1700s, before the Marines were even thought of. So,
That's one of the things that's so great about that too. It's so, just so you guys know, there's always good-natured camaraderie between the different branches, because we can't be successful. Army can't get anywhere without the Air Force's planes. Marines aren't going anywhere without the Navy's boats, right?
Yep.
So, but that's hilarious. Thank you. So what does Veterans Day mean to you guys personally?
I mean, for me, it's just a kind of a day to reflect on, what's been given to me before. Not necessarily me being a veteran, but what the veterans before me were able to do that allowed me to do what I chose to do and what I continue to choose to do. That's what it's about for me.
Yeah, I think it's just nice that there is a day where we can recognize people who were willing to sacrifice for others if they needed to.
just like every holiday, it's a memorial. It's what are we thinking about? Why is it here? And when you go back and you look at the history and you think about everything that all the military did ahead of time to set us up in the United States of America in this time period and what it's been the last few hundred years, it's kind of crazy to think about, but it's good. It's there to remind us that a lot had to be done, a lot of sacrifices were made, and a lot of boldness had to take place in order to put us where we're at.
Yeah, I think it's a really good time for young people, especially, to have these conversations with their parents too, and understand who the veterans were in their family, how they served, and what they may have sacrificed. I think that kids have a tendency to not ask those questions just simply because they don't know, right? They don't know that grandpa had this really cool job, right? Like, I don't know why anybody would ever, your jobs are great, guys, but I don't know why anybody would ever join the military and not be a journalist. It's the best job. You're part of everybody's story. I had so many adventures. I caught bears and jumped out of helicopters and did all kinds of cool stuff, right? There's so many neat things, but you don't know the stories unless you ask. So I'd say ask. Talk to the veterans in your community and learn their stories, because there's some cool stuff out there.
We can't tell you all the stories, though. Some are not appropriate.
No. But many are. Many are. So, guys, is there anything else that you want to chat about today that I didn't think to mention that you think would be valuable to the conversation today?
No, ma'am.
I mean, I think mainly the thing reaching out for our kids, like our goal, the district's goal of, having a job, having college, or enlisting. On there, the enlisting kind of gets overlooked a little bit, and it's an option. It's a viable option. It took me more than almost 20 years to get a degree to put me where I am today, but it should be something that's taken seriously. It provides you a lot of opportunity.
It really does. And just to explain the difference for our listeners who may not understand, enlisted is a non-commissioned officer. It's like a sergeant or a private, whereas the opposite of that is a commissioned officer, such as a captain or a general. A commissioned officer goes to college, they have a degree, they'll serve the same amount of time, and they start with a much higher paycheck.
Absolutely.
And finish with a much bigger retirement.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Whereas the enlisted guys, you don't necessarily have to have a college degree, but you can still enlist and you can get a degree while you're serving. You can switch to become an officer. You can become a warrant officer, or you could. Some guys enlisted is exactly what you need, right? I would have been a great sergeant major, maybe not such a great major, right? So that's the difference between enlisted and officers. College is a part of the conversation if that's the route you want to go, but you don't necessarily need to go to college to be in the military. But no matter whether you're officer or enlisted, it's a path to an education, a free education.
Yeah. Well, it's more than just a free education. They pay you to go to college.
They do.
And I'd like to throw in a little plug. National Guard's the best side hustle out there. You get to stay home in the city that you grew up in. You might have to travel 2 hours to drill or 3 hours to drill or whatever, 1 week in a month or 2 weeks out of the year. but you get health insurance, you get a retirement if you stay in long enough, you get dental and vision, you get college paid for. Oftentimes you get enlistment bonuses. I got a $10,000 bonus somewhere in there. So there's tons of benefits to doing it. Yes, it's a sacrifice, and yes, you have to put in, but every other side hustle that you have out there also requires a little bit of sacrifice, except this one provides a whole lot of benefits and gives you a whole lot of really cool experiences. For all of the trainings that I've done, I've been to Pennsylvania, I've been to California, Utah, Wisconsin. I can go on and on, all the trainings that I've been all throughout the nation. And then on top of that, 2 deployments, you're going to be able to see the world even as a National Guard member. It's really, really cool. So don't knock it because you think this, that, or the other. Give it a serious look.
Well, you can get a pension out of it. Is it still 20 years to retire? Did they up it?
I'm not sure how it changed a little bit after I retired, but 20 years for me at that point is 20 years, and I got the retirement. Now it's more of a 401k type plan. I'm sure it's still good. I don't know the details on it now.
You can get retirement pay before you're even 40 years old and go have a second career and retire from that.
Right.
Yep.
Well, I know.
It's
And that's the best. It's just simply the best of both worlds. And I know that we're not being recruiters here. We just truly believe in what we did and the experiences that came from it. But there was a time when people were thought to join the military because they didn't have any better option. You're going to jail or you didn't graduate, whatever, so we're going to put you in the military. But what I think a lot of people don't know is how smart the military is now.
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody who got up to a certain rank that didn't have a college degree. Like, if you were a young soldier and you didn't have a degree, your first sergeant is being like, you need to go take classes, man. We're a smarter Army. There's very few service members that don't have a degree, if not multiple degrees. Matter of fact, I got a friend who just got his doctorate all on the Army's dime.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So anyway, guys, thank you for being here with me. Thank you for having these conversations with me. Thank you for helping me appreciate what we did in our time of service. And we're so grateful for all of you for what you've done for our nation. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us.
And thank you for joining us for this episode of Springdale Today. You can catch this and previous episodes of Springdale Today on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, and listen to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. Thank you for joining us for this conversation, and we look forward to chatting with you next time about what's happening in Springdale today.
Springdale Today is a production of the Springdale Public Schools Communications Office.
The podcast is hosted by Mary Jordan and is produced and edited by Micah DeLacy.
Be sure to subscribe to Springdale Today for free on your favorite podcast platform.
And don't forget to follow Springdale Today on social media for episode updates
And behind-the-scenes conversations.
Thank you for listening. We hope you will join us in the future as we continue to learn about the amazing stories happening in Springdale today.